We have to go back to the history of the very construction of the Sri Lankan state. Now, please notice my use of word. I don't use the word Sri Lankan government or Rajapaksa government. I use the word Sri Lankan state. The People's Permanent Tribunal on Sri Lanka, which was held in Dublin, and the second phase will be held in Germany during this year, will certainly use the word Sri Lankan state. And the question here is how the Sri Lankan state was constructed. It was not constructed by the Sinhala supremacist groups, even though they claim it as their state. It was primarily a British colonial construct, as Dr. Andy Higginbottom pointed out. Neither the Portuguese nor the Dutch socially and politically engineered the relationship between the Tamil polity and the Sinhala polity under their colonial rule, even though they oppressed, killed both the Tamils and the Sinhalese. It is the British who constructed the unitary system by amalgamating both regions and giving power to the numerically larger Sinhala polity, and they themselves were unaware what is going to happen at that time. This unitary structure cannot be maintained without a strong ideology. So what is coming first is the state structure. Second is the ideology, which backs the structure. And this ideology was also primarily a British colonial construct. And if you simply go through the annals of the 19th century history and read the minutes of the Royal Asiatic Society, it is very clearly shown how the Sinhalese were depicted as racially superior and the Tamils were depicted as racially inferior, even going to the extent of proving that their anatomies are different. These were purely British constructs. And next point is ancient chronicles were reinterpreted, giving a new nuance to give a superior mentality to the Sinhalese and the Buddhists. Ancient dynastic and medieval dynastic wars were depicted as racial wars between the Tamils and the Sinhalese. And this is how the Sinhala supremacist mentality developed. And Sinhala nationalism never fought against the British, never. Its founder, Anagarika Dharmapala, stated when he was reprimanded at one stage for attacking the Muslims in 1915, that his allegiance to the British crown is as hard as a rock. So it is absolutely clear that Sinhala nationalism never fought against the British. While the British were colonizing, the Sinhala nationalism was attacking the Muslims, then they were attacking the Tamils. That is the character of Sinhala nationalism, and it is a product of the British colonial making very clearly. And what happened with this colonial construct was that it laid the most fundamental condition for future genocide. Of course, this kind of a state structure does not necessarily lead to genocide, but the later genocidal process could not have been implemented if not for the unitary state structure. That is clear, and its racial ideology. And this genocidal character of the state came to the fore in an unprecedented way after the so-called independence, when the racial ideology and the unitary state structure was consolidated and reinforced. And since then, we have a systematic, coordinated plan of action supported by the racial ideology and by the state structure to destroy, exterminate most basic foundations of Tamil national life, ranging from their land by colonial settlements, language, education, cultural symbols, so on and so forth. We, as organizers of the Permanent People Tribunal on Sri Lanka, will be focusing not only on the last phase of the war. As it was mentioned, we will certainly focus on the entire structure of genocide and how it unfolds. We will focus not only on the last phase of the war, we will focus on the colonial roots as well as on the ongoing process of genocide. And finally, there's a belief amongst the Tamil diaspora activists that they need the international powers to obtain justice. More than the major powers want the Tamil activists, more than the Tamil activists want the major powers want the Tamil activists just to put pressure on Rajapaksa government, but not to stop the genocidal process. I repeat, the Tamil activists, the Tamil diaspora, are needed by the British and the American governments just to put Rajapaksa government on pressure for obvious geopolitical reasons that we can discuss later, but not to stop an inch of structural genocidal process in Tamil homeland. This message has to be very clearly reflected upon. And I would, as a Sinhalese, would clearly state that the only way possible for the Tamils in the island of Lanka is that we realize the colonial character of the state and then focus on the ongoing process of genocide and the complicity of the world powers. We cannot ask those who are complicit to be our judges and thereby represent us, depict us as helpless victims who do not have political aspirations. Thank you very much.